Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another Redwood Podcast episode. I'm excited to be here with you guys with my two co-hosts, Alfredo and Bryant. We have a couple different topics we're going to talk on today, but before we get into that, how have you been? What's going on with you right now? What's up? What's up?
I'm pretty good. My car needs some work, but outside of that, my hand's healing up slowly but surely.
You got the pins out, right?
Pins are out, yeah. The bone is still not fully healed because of the way the fracture happened. You know, it wasn't just a clean break; it was shattered. It was pieces of bone, and so it just heals when it heals. You know, that's literally what my doctor told me. It was like, I wish I could tell you. Usually, it's 6 to 8 weeks or this to that, and no, we can't. We can't do that for this injury, so it heals when it heals. And until then, we started meeting monthly, so we can take new X-rays and things of that matter. They're also talking about another surgery because of the scarring adhesion going on between the tendon and the actual bone. But God is good. Outside of that, we are men. He's called us to push forward, and that's what we got to do.
What an update. I was like, damn. I was like, damn. Oh, there's an okay week or whatever. Like, yeah, you got a bone. I was like, holy cow. Holy cow. How about you, brother? What's going on with you, man? How is life after the military?
Man, not nearly as interesting as Alfredo's. I just sit at home all day.
Make some enemies, fight from some doors.
Right.
Hoping that somebody texts me or something.
Oh, what are you guys doing today?
Telling you.
Oh, man. But life after is okay for you?
Yeah, man, it's different. You don't have the same camaraderie and all that other craziness. You know what I mean? Miss it sometimes, but at the same time, I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's such an interesting thing, like when we talk about, I think this really lines up to a topic we're going to talk about today is the season of life.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes you're in a winter season. I have to sing this song. I don't know about you guys, because I can't just say the seasons off the top of my head. I have to be like,
I don't know what song that is.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I don't know what song is that.
Wait, do you know?
Who's it by?
Wait, do you know that song?
No, never heard it. I can't.
Are you serious?
No.
No, are you guys serious?
No, yeah, we're serious. Yeah.
Winter, spring, summer, or fall. You've never heard that song.
Who sang that song for you?
Wait, are you guys just messing with me for real?
I know there's like a Boys to Men. Yeah.
What?
Yeah, when the seasons change.
Is this a joke? Boys to Men. Boys to Men, bro.
I was just like
4 seasons of loneliness.
Yeah.
Forever Alone.
Brian's like, Boys to Men. Like, whoa.
Don't even get me started.
No, dude. I thought you guys were that song like winter, spring, summer, fall. All you gotta do is call.
Nope.
Bro, you didn't learn that in school?
Who is this? Who sings this?
I don't know.
The Bee Gees?
Third grade.
Like, what is this?
They're third grade teachers.
No, when did I?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was
Teachers,
like, come
okay.
on. Okay.
That was a song specially for Angelo.
I was literally like,
He's like, why are you not getting this?
I was looking at it. I was like, bro, what?
Yeah.
Are you guys just messing with me right now? Like, I'm like, do you really want me to sing the whole thing? I mean, I'll go into falsetto if I have to.
I would
like,
join you if I knew the song, but I think this was Angelo special.
the way you guys looked at me was like, I'm crazy. I'm like, you really? Winter, spring. Maybe put a little vibrato in there. You guys will get it.
If you got a song in your heart, you might as well sing it.
That's funny. So the song goes, I mean, I'm still baffled. I can't believe you guys don't know that song. You guys better know that song. I mean, I don't know. Anyways, the song goes, winter, spring, summer, and fall. All you gotta do is call and I'll be there. Right? That's the famous line. Maybe not so famous anymore after talking to you guys. But it just talks about, the reason I mentioned that was because that's how I remember the seasons. Winter, then spring, then summer, then fall. If you generally look at it, winter is kind of like the cold, damp, or the cold, uncomfortable season of life. Winter, spring is kind of like new hope. You imagine flowers blooming, like growth, like coming out of a winter season. Like now it's like renewal. And then summer, it's like everything is good. Life is perfect. Life is great. It's hot, right? And then
Yeah.
fall is you start to slow down again. And right now, like we're in Chicago, we're in the Midwest. It's fall, and we're coming off of a mild summer, and now it's starting to cool down. And I personally find myself in this state of reflection where you come off of summer and now it's like starting to slow down again, right? We're getting ready for Thanksgiving, Christmas, all like the seasons. I can tell you this guy's got something stirring in his mind right now. But I just share that so that everyone's kind of on the same page. And here, the funny thing is, like that is cyclical, right? In the world, winter, spring, summer, and fall. In life, I can be in a winter, you can be in a summer, and you can be in a fall right now. And I think that's such a great distinction to know, because you got to remember, if everything's going great in your life, that's awesome. But you don't know the season that somebody else is in.
That's right.
Mm. That's deep.
Yeah.
I like that.
You got to go into the song first.
Man.
But what are your thoughts on that, Brian?
Man, I would co-sign with essentially everything that you said about the seasons. So, just looking it up, winter was associated with like a season of sadness for me. Because for whatever reason, you experience that sadness, and you just think about like cold, right?
Yeah.
Being lonely, such, not having anybody to turn to type deal. So I think that everybody might be going through that kind of stuff, at points in their life, but hopefully not too long. And then you got the spring where, like you said, that new growth and whatnot starts coming around, and everything starts to unthaw. The negative emotions and such that you might have had about certain situations, they gradually, they're still there, but they're starting to come to light. People start recognizing them. Summer, you can actually enjoy the company and whatnot that you're in. In fall, you get to actually see the success of everything that you planted. So in that, spring season where you were going about trying to grow up, whatever, you start seeing the fruits of your labor come that fall season where you actually can reap the harvest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
One thing that I keyed on with what you said thaw. I think that's such a great imagery. Right after a winter when everything's frozen and out here it's kind of like ugly and just kind of like all the same colors.
Yeah.
And then you start to think thaw, and you're like, oh, the ice is slowly melting away, and it gives opportunity for beautiful colors to come out of the snow or ice.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
It's opportunity, right?
Absolutely.
And you realize that what looked dead really wasn't dead; it was just sleeping.
Ooh,
I like that,
ooh.
Because
I like
sometimes us being imperfect creatures, sometimes we might be in a season of winter. Sometimes we see another person and we think, ah, man, they're dead inside, or they're stagnant, or whatever, But really, they're having a tough time. They're in a state of hibernation, and they need for that season in their life to be over, so that they can start pushing again.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think that's why having a group of people, really kind of helps you thaw out at times.
Yeah.
Because when you're experiencing that season of loneliness and you feel like you don't have anybody to turn to, having somebody, even if it's just one person that you can turn to, mom, dad, best friend from elementary school, whatever, that will reach out to you, hey, how's it going? Sometimes that's all you need to be able to pull yourself out of that, dark place.
Yep.
So having those kind of people in your life,
I love that. To piggyback off of that and that imagery of thawing, it's like I'm frozen and I got you two next to me with like a hair dryer, like trying to unthaw me.
Yeah.
And that's such a. I love that imagery because you have to remember that we weren't made to do life alone, right?
That's true.
When God made Adam, he's like, oh, he's by himself.
Yeah.
I better give him a partner.
Yeah. That is correct.
absolutely.
And he made us in such a way that not only do we need relationship, but we're worship-based creatures, And if we don't seek the divine, if we don't seek God Almighty, we're going to find something we're going to find the wrong thing to worship without realizing it.
Mm.
You know, so that's another aspect of relationship that we really need to keep in check. You know, because we might worship our other relationships versus our relationship with God. You know.
Let's go, dude. This is gonna be such a powerful episode. I can just feel it in my spirit. I think like there's something that God has brought us together today, right now, to speak on, and I'm just getting so excited because I'm like I know like someone listening to this needs to hear it.
Absolutely. Yeah. The
So-
word of God never comes back unfruitful.
But I definitely want to visit the seasons again and come back to this because there's so many things to unpackage. But let's go on what you're just talking about right now, where you said if you don't seek God in that relationship, you're going to seek out other relationships.
Yeah.
Oh, let's go on that.
Well,
Elaborate. What specifically other relationships are you saying?
well, it could be anything. You know what I mean? I mean, think of the word idol nowadays. It doesn't mean the same thing that it meant back in the Old Testament. Now you have idols
American Idol?
Yeah, you have American idols. You have in Japan, Korea has a huge idol culture, right? And I'm not talking about little statues. I'm talking about people. You know, it's like the pop culture. You know, they get on a stage and you have masses that are unknowingly, or maybe they do know, but unknowingly they're worshiping this group, or they're worshiping this dancer or this singer, this performer. They're giving their praise or giving their heartfelt love. And then you have personal relationships, right? So, you know, if you could be codependent, right? You could need this other person, you know, whether it's a lover or it's a friend, or, you know, it could be your relationship with, you know, coffee or drugs. You know, with alcohol, you know, you could start abusing things, you know. Pornography, that's a huge one, yes.
Absolutely.
And then if you're not grounded by the Lord, if you're not grounded in what your expectations of your relationship with God, then you will start cheating on him, you know, in other areas of your life.
Absolutely.
And
Oh, that was nasty. Yeah, that was nasty, man.
yeah. And I mean, there's plenty of examples, you know, across the Bible. You know, we like David, so we'll jump into David for just a quick example. You know, he was king for, I want to say 30 years, right, at that point, and his relationship with God was on the rocks, you know, because it was very obvious through his fruit, through his actions, that he wasn't doing what he was supposed to be doing. You know, he was at war. The country was at war, and instead of him leading his people at the front, being the inspiration, being God's representative here on earth as God-appointed king, he stayed in the castle. And you know, when you got too much time on your hands and you're not applying yourself, and you're not being a good steward of the time that God is giving you, then you start looking at other things. You start wanting other things. You know, it was all the concubines and the women that he had or could have had wasn't enough now. Now he looked out the window and he wanted somebody else's sheep, right? So that's just an immediate example.
Not
right
real
there.
sheep, by the way, for all y'all.
Oh,
that-
yeah,
He's
yeah.
like, yo,
yeah.
what?
That's frowned upon in the Bible, all right?
That's not okay either.
Yeah.
That's not okay. Either.
Yeah, God said way back in the day that was not to be a thing.
you got the listeners like, what? Whoa! I don't think that part of the Bible.
Yeah, metaphorically, right?
Metaphorical sheep, not real sheep.
Yeah, we're talking about his head general's wife, right? That's what we're talking about.
Man.
Yeah.
Oh man, what are your thoughts on that, Ryan?
Man, it's very deep.
Yes.
And I agree with everything that he just said. So one thing that somebody had told me in the past was, you know, to be able to identify an idol, you got to look at like how much time you're dedicating to something.
Ooh.
So if you're constantly scrolling
good
through
one.
social media and you're spending more time on social media than you spend with God, more than likely that's an idol. You know, if you're drinking and you're drinking more than what you spend time with God, that's an idol. You know, and so on. The list just continues on.
Well, let me ask you this, and I don't mean to cut you off. Can idols be a good thing? Ever?
So, I'm not sure. I'm not sure how to answer that question, to be honest with
Not in
Yeah.
that terminology.
you. Exactly.
Okay.
You can have goals.
Yeah.
God can give you a mission and say, "This is why I put you on this earth."
Okay.
That's cool.
Exactly.
But one of the first mandaments is you will worship no other God outside of me, your God, right? So that means you can have no idols. You will have no idols before me. That's literally what that is. So if you start, like you said, devoting too much time, or really this is how I gauge it, and if God asked you right now, let it go, and it hurts you,
Ooh.
Yeah, that's real.
if you were just like, I don't want to,
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's really a problem, because as we've stated before, everything is God's. We own nothing. We are just here to take care of some of it, to appreciate the rest, and the rest of the rest, don't look at it, don't touch it, let it go, don't mess with it.
Alfredo is on one today. You see this?
Are you,
Man.
are we drinking the same thing?
You must have put some Bailey or
What's
something.
I know. I told you not to tell him.
Not on camera, bro. Not on camera. Don't be exposing me like that.
Man.
Man, okay,
Man,
dude.
that was filthy. Yeah. Let's see, but I think that in the different seasons, we might be establishing different idols as well.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, go on that.
For sure.
Go on that.
Man, so I don't know how exactly to expound upon, the winter time, because, in the season of sadness and such, all you're seeking out is a way to get out of, that season, right?
And that's primarily what winter becomes.
Yeah.
It's like, this sucks.
Yeah.
I want to get the F out of here.
Exactly.
Like, when it's winter here in Chicago, y'all know. Y'all from the South.
Exactly.
So when you come up here in my neighborhood,
Yeah, exactly. Man.
with your short shorts and all that, like your tank tops, you don't need that.
Yeah,
No,
what is
you
this?
put that away. You put that away in the wintertime. That goes in the back of the closet.
I'm telling
You know what I'm saying? But yeah, go ahead,
Absolutely.
winter.
But then when you look at fall, and then you're able to bask in all the successes and whatnot that you had from, the rest of the year, essentially leading back up to that winter season. It's easy to, put your successes as an idol, in all honesty, because you think about it. I got this car. The first thing you said is, I got this car, as opposed to, I was blessed with this car, type deal. So not being able to truly recognize where it is that your blessings are coming from. I think that comes along with, the different seasons that we experience in life, where in that wintertime, it's really easy for you to see, like, oh man, I really messed up here. In every other season where you might be successful, you want to attribute all those things to the things that you have done, as opposed to the places that God has put you.
Nice.
That's so good. That's so good. And I just want to make a distinction there. It's like we pay attention to our speech, right? Like, I don't know the exact scripture, but somewhere in the Bible it says, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So if you are speaking, I win, I'm successful, when you pay attention to your speech patterns, you get to see what's really in your heart. Because out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So if you are speaking all this negativity, like, man, my life sucks, life just kicked me in the balls, my wife doesn't love me, my kids don't respect me, my this, that's coming out of your mouth, so that's really what's in your heart.
Yeah.
That's
Right?
it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Did I just say some scripture, y'all? Did,
You
I
sure
just, did I just
did.
drop some scripture? What?
It's surprising as well,
Yeah.
man. That was deep.
but that's such a great distinction, and I love that you said that, because you have, like, in law enforcement, like, we're big on pattern recognition. We look at people like, this guy's about to run, and like, how could you tell? Well, you can see, like, look at his eyes.
Yeah.
You can see, like, he's positioning himself.
He's building up to it.
He's building up to it. His fists are kind of clenched, like he's gonna fight or flight. So it's gonna be one of the two. So like, it's like people are like, oh my God, how did you know that? Well, if you pay attention to the little details, you can see what he was about to do. And the same exact thing, you take that same concept and you apply it to us. What do you got? Like, what's coming out of my mouth? What am I doing every single day? Like, how can you say that I believe in God and I have faith and this, but then, you're at home and you're wallowing in your doo-doo.
In your doo-doo, yeah.
In your doo-doo.
That's
Yeah.
legit.
Right?
Right.
No, that is legit.
Like, I believe in God, but when you're at home by yourself, you're like, you're what? You're watching porn.
Yeah.
You're playing endless video games,
Yeah.
and like kind of like totally unplugging, not paying attention to your kids, not paying attention to your wife. Oh, but I'm a believer,
Yeah.
you know?
You know, and that's the way that you go about de-stressing as opposed to being able to do what's biblical.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And I guess that's where the idol kind of comes in. And it's tough, you know, being able to actually recognize your idol. So actually being intentional about your time and truly like looking at the things that you do, just the patterns of life, being able to recognize what is it that might be an idol that is blocking me from being able to be closer to God, closer to my family, you know, whatever. And
Yeah.
sometimes, you know, it is your family that ends up being an idol.
Ooh.
You know, you get so consumed with being able to do the things for your family that you completely forget about, you know, I'm supposed to be teaching them how to be, you know, a better Christian, a better person, whatever. And, you know, we just get caught up with that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah,
another form of
absolutely.
idolship.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, as Christians, you always hear it's God first, then your wife, then your kids. You know, and at least I'm guilty of this. Sometimes I put my wife first. You know, and so sometimes God has to check me.
Yeah.
You know, and remind me, hey, you need to take care of business.
Yeah.
All right, you need to talk to me first, and then you talk to her.
Yeah.
You know, and yeah.
I appreciate you saying that, man,
Anyways,
because like,
yeah.
dude, I'm the same way.
No.
Yeah.
I think a lot of men, and I mean, obviously we know this is being recorded, this is going to be shared to the world. So I commend both of you for just sharing your hearts and being open and vulnerable and just, it's not easy to say this in front of other men and to share this with the world where potentially hundreds and thousands of millions of people are going to hear.
Yeah.
So, you know, I just wanted to quickly, you know, say thank you to both of you because that was such a good, I'm glad you did share that because right away for me, I'm like, yeah, I do that too, bro.
Yeah, but it's needed, you know, because some people might think that, oh man, I'm the only person that goes through this kind of stuff. It's like, no, you're not alone, you know, and that's what ends up leading people to be in that season of winter, you know,
Yeah.
you know, a prolonged season of winter, you know what I mean? So,
And then the enemy whispers in your ear and tells you
Yeah.
you're alone.
Yeah.
You're the only one messing up.
Yeah, you are a
You're
horrible person.
you can't you're a horrible person. You can't go back. You don't belong there.
yeah, you cannot be.
They're
forgiven.
gonna you know make fun of you. They're gonna judge you. You know what I mean? And that's another reason why I think it's so important that we're so open about our flaws is because we're not perfect, and that's why we come to the hospital. And that's why we come to the healer. You know, that's exactly why we're here. That's exactly why we're speaking right now. Is because God's given us a little, and so we want to try and pass that on.
Oof. Man, so I'm really glad that you said that because I was thinking about one of the parables that was utilized in the Bible where it's talking about, you know, one person being given 1 talent, one person being given 2 talents, and then one person given, you know, 5 talents, whatever. And the people that had more than one, they went off and actually did stuff with those talents to go about increasing their kingdom, or God's kingdom, really. But the person that only had one, you know, tried to hold on to it. I think that a lot of times that's what we end up falling into the pattern of. We're usually that person with the 1 talent, you know, where, you know, this is my wife, this is my family, I have to hold on to them, as opposed to being able to develop them into the things that, you know, God has destined for them. You know, you're holding on to that talent because I don't want to let this go. But then you think about it, the person that only had that 1 talent, God ended up taking everything from him.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So the thing that you try to covet, essentially, is the very thing that could be taken away from you for
Ooh,
trying to covet it.
Yep.
that's so good.
It's like what Jesus says, you know, he who loses his life will find it in me, and vice versa.
Yeah.
You know, because here you are, and you're coming from a place of fear when God has called you to be courageous, you know, and take strength in Him. And here you are, just holding on to this one thing, and I don't want to lose it. I'm afraid, you know, what if? And that's not what God called you out to be.
Yeah.
You know, if He's given you a talent, He's called you to cultivate it, to grow it, to use it for His glory.
Oh man. And honestly, we could sit on this topic like all
We
day.
could. and I like that's what I'm, dude. I love this, and I really feel like God is in the middle of this conversation. Like He's here today. We're obviously in His house, We might be in his bathroom or something. I'm not really sure. But we're in his house.
That's why that's there.
That's why. That's that smell. But Ryan, bro.
I know.
God, come on. Just so we're clear, because this actually was very confusing for me in the beginning when I heard this talents in this specific. It was money, correct?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
you know,
then
just so because like again, when I heard this first, I was like talents. Like I'm like.
being able to
Like, like you can dance, I can sing, I can play basketball. Like, you know, like what is those kind of talents? Like,
Exactly.
yeah, but in the Bible, it was actually talents, as in like the money value, right? Like they turn around and increase their talents,
Yeah.
their money,
Yeah.
their master's money, I should say. But it definitely goes back to what like your actual talents,
Yeah, man.
your actual gifts and abilities and
Absolutely.
skills and.
Yeah, if you don't work on them, you lose them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And if you bury them in the ground, you lose them.
Exactly.
You know, because that's what the guy with one talent did. He buried it. You know,
Exactly.
he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna put this in a secret place. No one's gonna find it, and I'm not gonna find it either."
Yeah.
Exactly.
that means nobody got it.
Yeah.
So that's
Fucking
legit.
heaven.
You can't steal it if you.
Yeah.
I don't even know where it's at.
It's legit, man.
Yeah.
Hey, so it's crazy to think about, man. But in all honesty, when you look at like the wealth gaps and such, you look at the people that have a lot, and a lot of times, you know, they're able to diversify. But the people that don't go about diversifying are the same exact people that end up losing everything, and end up coming exactly back to where they said, "I'm never going back there again." Hey, man, you're my neighbor now.
Yeah.
That game, 2 years ago was crazy, man. What happened? Yeah, I broke my leg, and here I am. You can't come back. It's tough, but I think that's one of the things that goes into having a single talent, which is why the people at the bottom, if you will, the 99%, end up being like a jack of all trades but a master of none. Because we have to go about cultivating, a lifestyle for our family, for ourselves and such, and we have to be like extremely creative. So I hate to bring them up, but oftentimes people in prison are some of the most ingenuitive people that I've ever seen.
Oh, 100%.
Absolutely.
100%.
Man, if you could only go about applying those talents and whatnot, in the regular world,
Yes.
as opposed to, criminalistic type stuff, what kind of world would we have?
Dude.
Some of the guys that I know that are reformed now, they are they're some of the best mechanics I've ever seen.
Man.
Like they just have, like you said, ingenuitive, and they might not have the right tool, but they'll get a wrench and a ratchet and make it work
Yeah.
somehow.
They're like, you know how many things I can make with that plastic fork?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
You better be careful. You better
Yeah.
be careful, man.
Yeah.
I'll make a car on that thing.
Exactly. Exactly. So it's just insane to me how that kind of stuff works. But I think that that's also, just one of those blessings from God, man. Not everybody's gifted with that kind of thought process up until you're forced to have that kind of thought process.
Yes. Yes. And whenever you're forced to do something, when that type of pressure is applied, and like you just come from when you're at 0 and then you got to go to 100, you're not gonna hit 100. You're just that added pressure, you're gonna crack.
Exactly.
So like, yeah, 100%.
definitely make mistakes.
There's so many, like, there's so many men that I know in my life that I'm like, dude, if you just applied yourself, you'd be on Forbes.
Man, and I think that the people at the bottom, when you don't have anything, it's so much easier to go about depending on God for everything. You know what I mean?
Ooh.
Because the people that have everything is like, oh, man, I got this on my own. But then as soon as they lose, it's like, oh, what happened? And then that's when God, if you're listening, please help. And
Remember me?
You remember me?
Yeah,
Remember,
exactly.
you helped me before.
Your humble servant.
You're you're a humble servant. I come to thee. Like, you start busting out the Hebrew and stuff, man.
Yeah, but it's so much easier to go about depending on God when you don't have what it is that you're looking for or what it is that you need, as opposed to when you already have it. God is like an afterthought. It sucks. That's the way that it goes.
Everybody runs to God when they're in need.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In the high moments, everyone just kind of forgets about him.
Yeah.
We see that example way too often.
Yeah.
you know.
Absolutely.
And
I think that's why there's so many, like, mediocre Christians.
Yeah.
could be.
It's
you know.
it's because I think it's because like once you get what you want, I don't need God. I did this on my own, right? You may have helped me, and dude, 100% that was me.
Yeah.
That was me.
Yeah.
I prayed to God, like when I couldn't go into the military because of my other injuries. I'm like, God, please, I just really want to be a cop. I just want to serve. I want to be part of something bigger than myself, dude. I was going to church.
Yeah.
I'll put myself on blast. I'll throw myself on the bus. I was praying. I was, going to church. I was participating. I was engaged. The moment I became a cop, stopped going to church.
I don't have time for that anymore. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of other factors too, like your schedule. I'm sure was big. I'm sure you did
Oh, for sure.
nights and stuff like that.
And that's what I
but-
told myself.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm working midnights.
Exactly. God understands.
I'm chasing Satan right now, Jesus. We're
Exactly.
cool, right? Like, I'm
Doing your work.
I'm doing your work. Yeah, I'm doing God's work. We're good, right? Like that counts for something.
Yeah. Man, so I think that really leads us into one of the points that you wanted to talk about with the lone wolf mentality.
Oh.
Yeah, versus the community.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that lone wolf is that person that, when everything is up for them, it's very easy to just run away. Where in that community, you have to go about depending on one another. You know what I mean? So oftentimes you hear about in the church, specifically, when you have somebody that's struggling internal to the church, how funds and everything else is pulled together to be able to help that person out of whatever tough spot they're in. But that lone wolf doesn't have anybody that they can depend on. You know what I mean? And so that it's just 10 times harder for them, and it starts going to the extremes. Like if I don't have it, Angela have it. I have it now.
I'm the captain now.
Yeah.
He's like, give me that fork real quick. And Alfredo, get that plastic one. No, not the metal one. The plastic one.
Do the handshake.
Alfredo, get the cameras. Get the cameras.
Stop recording.
This was not playing.
Like, why you keep throwing up the X at me? Like, what's that mean?
What's that mean? To add on what you were saying though, Brian, I think in Timothy it says that, like, I'm trying to remember the exact words, but essentially that 2 is better than 1. Because if you were alone and you fell and couldn't get back up, who was there to help you? And there's other examples in the Bible of community, and that you should be surrounded by other godly people and the church and things of that nature. But we're not designed to function alone. We're not designed to try and stand off ourselves against the world, because that's where sometimes a lot of fear comes from, right? Like the famous battle of it's not the 300, but essentially it was a prophet, and he was it a prophet? Oh my gosh, I'm not remembering correctly the story, but there was a character in the Bible, and he was terrified, afraid, because he thought, oh, look at this giant army, and we're here, just a couple of us, or it's just me, or I'm alone, we're all gonna die, and then I believe the prophet prays for this other individual, and he says to open his eyes, so he can see what's really going on. And so when God takes the veil, the spiritual veil off of his eyes, he gets to witness all the angels. So there was an army in front of him, but there was divine power that was backing them up. And I think that's what we also lose a lot of sight of, is that we're not really alone. Sometimes the enemy wants to confuse us, right, and tell us you're alone, you have nobody. But really, that's not what God promised. He said, I'm with you until the end of the earth. He says my spirit will be with you. And those are all promises. They're not it's not a contract where it's you do this and I'll do that. No, it's done.
Exactly. Man, but at times being in community is like very confusing for me as well. Because I forget what the numbers were specifically in the Bible, but you had one of the prophets. I can't remember the name off the top of my head right now. But he was supposed to be leading, Israel into battle. And it was like a massive army. We'll just say 1 million people in the other army. And God said, assemble your army and get ready to go fight them. So this prophet went and got, let's say 300,000 people. Hey, too many people. Take it down a little bit. Say, all right, all you guys, you're gone. Go back home. Now you're down to 30,000. Nope, still too many people. Let's go down even further. And that's where we get to that number 300. Mm-hmm. It's like, God, how am I supposed to fight 1 million people with 300 people? It's like, trust me.
Mm-hmm.
I got you. Don't worry about it.
But you sent Brian and Alfredo home?
Exactly.
And you took all the plastic forks?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I guess that's where we really have to be able to rely on what it is that God is telling us. And really be able to just discern, where that word is coming from. Because oftentimes for me, I like to think that, God operates through the people that I associate with. But at the same time, you have to be able to judge the character of the individual that you're taking the advice from. So somebody told me in the past, hey, don't take advice from somebody that you wouldn't be willing to trade lives with.
Yes.
Yeah. So
That's a good one.
When you're going into a situation that it looks hectic, and that person's, hey, why don't you just shoot him? Like, wait, what? How do we get from here to here? How does that work? But then you have somebody else, hey, why don't you just have the conversation with him? See what's actually going on. Be able to decide like what the next best action would be. You have those kind of people in your corners, and you have to be able to decide like which one is it that I want to associate with on the more frequent basis. But what I find is that oftentimes you go to the person that you already know the answer, but you go to the person that is going to give you the answer that you want, right? And so, hey, Angelo, man, I'm really having a tough time right now. My wife, we're struggling. And it's like, well, you could always just go to a strip club, you know what I mean? Sample, all the other women that are there. And go to the people that are going to be giving you the answer that you want, oftentimes.
Yeah.
Until you can't go to them. And then you have to go to the person that's going to give you the real answer. You know what I mean? Because oftentimes, when I want a legit answer, I won't come to, my brothers or my sisters, because I know all they're going to end up doing is, yeah, you were right in that situation. If I go to my mom every single time, it's like, oh, yeah, you messed up. All right, how do I fix it? But being able to have the people around you that are going to be able to tell you when you're right and when you're wrong, and actually legitimately build up your character from that spot that you were in, it's key. And I think that's part of that, having that community around you. Because, what verse was it? Hebrews 10:24. I don't have the whole thing, but it says, we spur one another. So we spur one another to go about taking the correct actions or the wrong actions. You know what I mean? And that's where the community kind of comes into play. You think about the city of Chicago, how, back in the 70s, 80s and such, it got very hectic, just with race relations and such. Gangs started forming and all that other craziness, and then you look at the situation for what it is now, where you have a lot of kids that are misguided and such, and they don't have that sense of community. They say that they have a community, they claim the blocks and whatnot that they're from, but it's not really a community, because what community do you know of that would end up sending you out to die?
Yeah.
For what? Just because somebody else is from a different street than you are.
Yeah, or a different color.
It makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
But being able to actually have the right community, establish yourself in a community that actually cares about you and such, is where I think that the community of just being a follower of Christ ends up coming in, man. And I remember a time of lacking that, you know what I mean? And then feeling like I was the only one. It's like I was extremely aggressive during that time period. You know what I mean? Because I felt like this is the only way I'm going to be able to hold on to everything that I got. I have to be aggressive in order to hold on to everything that I have. And then you get involved with the Christian community and such, and it's like, no, you don't need to hold on to everything. let go of everything. And then you'll see that the things that you were valuing before, they don't really mean anything. You know, they're just items.
There you go.
Yeah, man. And so,
It's a good piece.
tangent.
Piece it all
That
together.
was good. That was real good. I've always heard, going back to your advice moment, that advice is always something that you ask for when you already know the answer. You know, and I think sometimes, most of the time, I believe that to be true. You know, because sometimes I'm wrestling with that idea, or maybe an action that I have to take, and I think, man, this is gonna piss off people, you know, or this is gonna hurt someone, right? So I go to people that I trust that are not just gonna tell me yes, or not just gonna tell me no, but will be, okay, what's the context? You know, what are the facts? And give me what they truly believe would be the best, you know, advice. And most of the time, they just tell me what I already knew. You know, they're just like, yeah, I think you should do this one. It's harder, but that's what you need to do. And I'm just like, man, why?
I don't really
You know,
wanna do that
I didn't
one.
want to do that one, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you know, you always have that nudging in the back of your head, or maybe it's the Holy Spirit, I don't know. But you already knew what you had to do. You knew what was correct.
Right.
You know, and to add on also to your 300 story, that God always has a master plan, right? And He wants to take out the insecurities in your life, and He wants to take out anything that's going to hurt you later down the line, right? And it doesn't look like a big deal now, but that will grow, and that will progress, and that will become some sort of roadblock in your life, or it'll be like, you know, the little stone, little pebble in your shoe, right? Like you said, it went from, you know, 300,000, and you know, they stopped by to get water at a stream or a river, whatever it was, and then God gave us, like, you know, sometimes God works with signs, and He said, okay, observe everybody as they drink water, and if they put both their knees on the ground, tell them to go home. Why? Because that means they're not at the ready. That means that they let their guard down too often. So yeah, the people that put both their knees on the ground, and they had to go home. You know, everybody else that just put one knee on the ground to drink water, and they were still vigilant, they were still observing, they were still cognitive of the fact that we are at war. We have to be ready. Yes, I need this water right now, but I'm going to do it carefully. And then the next, you know, stage of that thinning off was when, or actually I think this was the first stage. You know, I can't remember who it was, but the person gets in front of the army, and they say, okay, whoever's afraid, leave now. You know, why? Because that fear will spread between the individual to the other person, because we spur off each other, right? So if you have Angelo, who's courageous and ready to go, and he's got a fire for God, you know, and I'm over here afraid to speak out, and I'm afraid, you know, to go to war, and I'm afraid I'm afraid that I'm going to lose the life that I have cultivated for myself, I think, here on earth. Well, that might affect him. So God says, if you're afraid, leave, right? Because we're at war. We can't have fear in the middle of the troops. So yeah, we might not understand why God takes things away, and it might be something simple. It might be the smallest thing, but we don't realize that later down the line, that's the reason why we fell. That's the reason why we died.
That was filthy. Man.
The little details.
I'm telling you. Alfredo was just like, I don't know. He must have been listening to the Bible like as he slept or something
Seriously.
like that. Bringing all the points.
I just touch it. It's osmosis.
Whoa. All right.
Absolutely.
Sweet.
Let's see.
Well, I mean, that's so good, you know, like, we spur off each other, and that's such a key thing. And those are all the benefits of being in a community, having a brotherhood, being in a community like this, in a group, in a team like this setting. So let me ask you guys this: well, why don't we men have that? Not enough. Why don't we do that enough? Why don't we have more men around us? Why aren't we more purposeful about surrounding ourselves with like-minded men? Why I feel like there's so much more lone wolf thinking than, dude, I need to talk to Brian D'Alfredo about this.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of it's like, nah, I got this. I need to figure this out.
No, it's legit.
All right, guys, that wraps up part 1 of episode 5. I hope you guys took some big takeaways, some golden nuggets, and I hope you guys shared some laughs with us as well. I guarantee that part 2 is just as good, if not better, than part 1, just because we have so many more laughs and we go deeper on some of these subjects. And it was a lot of fun doing this recording, and it was a lot of fun editing it all over again. 1, to re-listen to the golden values, and 2, to enjoy these moments of laughter that I was able to share with Alfredo and Brian. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for liking, subscribing, and sharing. We will see you next week for part 2. Have a great week, guys. We'll see you later. Bye.